Maite Nkoana-Mashabane says she had no clue about the Gupta family landing at the Waterkloof Air Force Base. The former International Relations Minister is, of course, testifying at the state capture inquiry about how the man blamed for that landing, Bruce Goolwane, was later appointed an ambassador. That infamous landing in 2013 put the spotlight on President and former President, I should say, Jacob Zuma's relationship with the Guptas and the abuse of state resources to benefit his friends. Erin Bates, as usual, following the state capture inquiry for us, she joins us now in studio. So what reasons could the minister actually give to say, hey, I actually wanted this guy to become an ambassador after all of that?
Well, her argument goes that by the time she sent a letter to then President Jacob Zuma in mid-2014 recommending Bruce Goolwane to become South Africa's ambassador to the Netherlands, think about it, Shakan, someone flying the flag high, representing the president and the country in another jurisdiction. She says he'd served 2 months suspension and without pay, and that he'd really paid penance, this is Goolwane, for his wrongdoings. And the wrongdoings here are incredibly severe. He abused his position as head of state protocol. He name-dropped on his own concession the name of then-President Jacob Zuma and the names of 2 ministers. And yet we hear from Maite Nkoana-Mashabane that by the time mid-2014 came around, that was all, you know, water under the bridge, as it were. Let's take a look at some of her evidence from earlier.
When you nominate, you nominate. If there's you have 6 months to get queries as people go through training to say this one can go, but this one had served, if you like, if it's a jail term, a 10, but it's also an experienced ambassador. So we had no other way of keeping him paid, sitting at home, doing nothing, and we can't say go home because we had no reason.
Must be nice, hey? You flout all these rules to a national key point, and then it's like, you had a 2-month suspension, let's move on, we'll give you an ambassador post. Wish we could be like those people. But let's talk about the questions that the evidence leader and the chair had about all of this, rightfully so.
Yes, well, some of the questions we heard from Advocate Thandi Norman, Senior Counsel, and Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo pertain to the letter that Nkoana-Mashabane sent to the President, because in her nomination letter for Goolwane to become ambassador to the Netherlands, there's no mention whatsoever of the Waterkloof incident. It really is a slew of his successes, his merits and skills, and why he'd make a good choice for ambassador. And she said that it was no secret what had happened at Waterkloof by the time she wrote the letter to the then president. Nkoana-Mashabane also said that she raised this in oral discussions with the president rather than in the letter itself. The letter's all the good stuff. It's the bad stuff that comes up when they talk. And the other thing that she said was that, well, the Dutch didn't raise any problems about Goolwane going off to the Netherlands after the whole issue around Waterkloof. What really is galling about that, Shahan, is that this created not only a diplomatic crisis because of the links to the Indian High Commission, but it also created a political crisis. Goolwane, on his own version, abused the name of the then president. We know from the evidence of Nwako Ramatlhodi, former Minister of Mineral Resources, that there was then a crisis in the ANC. Seniors saying to then President Jacob Zuma, do not grace this wedding with your presence. This has disgraced you, it's disgraced the nation, and it's disgraced the governing party.
Yeah, many would argue that Goolwane was actually the fall guy for this overall as well, Erin. We can talk about that later. But ultimately, the former Minister of International Relations really saying this wasn't her decision to hire Goolwane, but she wrote the recommendation letter?
She did. So then she kicks the ball into the court of then President Jacob Zuma, saying he is the ultimate decision maker. He says yes or no about whether or not Goolwane goes off to the Netherlands, to an arguably cushy job for someone who'd flouted protocol, abused his executive office and all the rest of it. And there she actually says, yeah, it was up to Zuma to say yay or nay. And the fact that he said yay led the chairperson, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, to ask, well, what did the president know at the time about Goolwane and the Waterkloof incident that may have informed his decision to let him go off to the Netherlands and serve the country there?
Yeah, I think you and I would make fitting ambassadors to any country around this world, right?
Darling, I'd
Where
love that.
is President Cyril Ramaphosa? Hopefully he's watching this. He'll give us a call a little later. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.